Hey, Akawaha Boy Rocks here. Sorry about the wind. I'm all the time talking about how we don't have rocks in Florida very much, but we do have some rocks. Some of them are pretty cool and historically significant. So this that I'm sitting on, this is a natural concretion called coquina, and it's oyster shells and limestone basically. Oyster shells pretty much are limestone that have it's been precipitated out of the salt water by the animals, and these blocks were quarried over from this island across the bay, Anastasia Island, and I am in St. Augustine at the Castillo de San Marcos, which was built out of these quarried blocks of natural coquina limestone. So I'm going to take you around here and show you a little bit of it and what makes this natural building material so cool. Construction on the Castillo began in the early 1670s after a raid on St. Augustine destroyed much of the city. There is one of the furnaces for making shot, for heating the shot up and firing it out so it would catch the ships on fire. They didn't use exploding cannonballs here very much. It was primarily hot shot that would just be hot enough to catch the wooden ships on fire when it hit them. Some of these holes are, I think, for timbers, but there's other spots that you'll see just sunken holes into that coquina. This was the great thing about the material, is when the British would fire from over here on this island to the Spanish fort, the shots that did reach it would not shatter the walls, they would just harmlessly sink in. All right, I just paid my 15 bucks, so I'm gonna take you around the fort. Probably not too much narration in here with all the people, but we'll shoot some video. Just a quick look around the courtyard. It's a really neat spot to be before it gets crowded, because you really do feel like you've gone back in time. You can't go in the jail cells here, but you can get an idea of the doom and gloom that must have been felt with someone that was incarcerated here in the early 1700s. In the second half of the 1700s, the British were redesigning part of the inside of the fort. The Spanish had already added the vaulted ceilings to allow for more weight to be on the upper deck of the fort, and the British added a second story to the rooms to allow for more housing of soldiers. Limestone is calcium carbonate, and the fort is very cave-like, so there's places where the water does seep down and you can see these calcium deposits building up on the walls. I left the video dark in these areas on purpose because I just wanted to show you just how dark, damp, and some places cramped this fort was originally and still is, as I take you through some of the armory and into the powder storage area here. I'm a tall guy, and this was down on my hands and knees crawl to get into these areas. Now here's the tidal latrine. I can only imagine with people doing what they needed to do here, waiting for the tide to come in and wash the material out to sea. There's lots of nice displays like this set up all around the fort to give you an idea of the types of materials that would be here and a glimpse into what everyday life might have been like. Now I'm going to head up the stairs and to an area that would have been one of the scariest places to be in a battle, but now is one of the best views, in my opinion, in all of Florida. This lookout tower is obviously missing the platform the lookout would have actually stood on, but it's cool to see the Coquina construction that's lasted over 350 years now. So here's one of the batteries pointing out to where one of the primary battles actually happened. The British set up a siege battery out on Anastasia Island out here. And then for point of reference, all of this material was quarried out in the area of that lighthouse over here. Okay, here's looking back over the city of St. Augustine, the modern city. And you might wonder why there would be mortar emplacements facing the Spanish city from the Spanish fort. But during the siege, the British would surround this fort. The city's inhabitants would be moved inside this outer wall that you see kind of reconstructed there, the palm tree wall, and then inside the next wall if necessary, and they would actually have to fire towards the city at the British siege force. The reenactors were training how to load, but unfortunately not how to shoot while I was there. 5 flags have flown over the state of Florida in this fort. This is the first one. The French, the English, the American, then the Confederate, and then the American flag have all flown over parts of Florida. Definitely not our modern idea of comfortable sleeping arrangements. All right, hope you enjoyed a quick little walk around the fabulous Castillo de San Marcos and America's oldest city, St. Augustine, and looking at some of this really cool Coquina Limestone here, that some of the earliest natural building materials that the Europeans used in North America.